Now let's look at accounting information systems. An accounting information system is a group of processes that work together to record transactions and generate reports of financial and non-financial information that is useful for people to make decisions. Let's take a brief historical look at different tools that accountants have used over time. Starting in Mesopotamia, around 2700 BCE. We have the emergence of a new calculator, a way that we can use beads to quickly calculate accounts for transactions or accounting balances. We call this, of course, an abacus, which has become the universal symbol of accountancy. Now let's flash forward a few millennia. We end up in the Incan Empire around 1500 CE. At this point, the main method of communication between the different villages within the Incan Empire was by way of chasqui runners. So you'd have these Incan runners going from place to place, and they carried a tool with them called a quipu. So a quipu was a series of strings, and there were knots tied in these strings to represent different account balances to measure trade between the different villages. Think of it as a method of financial reporting, a general ledger that you could carry from village to village to keep track of different accounts in trade. Around the same time, if you travel over to Europe, and specifically the Renaissance in Italy, you have a monk named Luca Pacioli who would go down to the markets in Venice and would observe the trade, and he wrote the first textbook on double entry accounting. So when you think about debits and credits, you can thank Luca Pacioli for that. Then we continue on, and you end up in the US in the 1960s, where we start building computers, and we're able to automate a lot of this collection of data through the use of spreadsheets. And spreadsheets are really interesting because a spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel is a digital equivalent of an actual physical spreadsheet. There used to be these large papers with grids on them where accountants would do calculations by hand. And so spreadsheets made it much more efficient for us to capture those transactions and generate financial reports. Throughout each of these different processes, we still have four main tasks of an accounting information system. We have some sort of input, so a manual entry or a transaction record. That input is then processed. So we'll provide some calculations, some context for that. We'll store that data in a general ledger or other location. And then we have our output, which is going to be the financial reports that our stakeholders can use to make decisions. So we see this in all of these historical exercises, from the abacus to the spreadsheet. All of this is facilitating that accounting information systems process. In addition to the tools, an accounting information system has 6 major components. The first one is people. People provide the input and verification of the data going into financial reports. So people, we can split this into 4 different roles. We have users of accounting systems. So users input the data and provide the calculations. We have managers who use that information to generate reports and make decisions. We have designers who build systems to enable efficient processes and build interfaces where people can capture these transactions. And then we have evaluators who are going to verify that the information is correct. So think about auditors. Auditors work within a system to make sure the processes are working correctly. Next, we have our procedures. Procedures are the methods for recording and processing and storing and retrieving data. We separate this into 2 categories. We have manual processes, and we have automatic processes. So we can automate a lot of this through the use of technology. Next, we have data. Data is a primary component, and we're going to store a lot of this transactional data in databases. Different types of data that we're going to experience include master data, which includes objects, people, places, things, as well as transaction data, which record the data about the events, the transactions, the interactions between different users and objects. We have software. Software helps us to do these calculations more efficiently. So you can think about things like spreadsheets or off-the-shelf tools like QuickBooks or even large enterprise systems like SAP. We have the information technology infrastructure. So this is what enables us to communicate effectively. So this includes hardware, like the computer devices or smartphones or tablets. We have the networking devices, routers and cables and wireless access points. And we have the cloud, which is where we outsource a lot of our data storage to other companies. And so everything becomes a service that is provided by someone else. Last but not least, we have controls. Internal controls are security measures that help us protect our data. So we want to make sure that our data is confidential, that it has integrity, meaning that it's complete and not missing anything important, and that it is available when we need it. So all of these procedures work in concert to enable the effective inputting, processing, storage, and output of financial information. What are some other tools that you've seen that are used to help enable this process? Think about that for a moment, and I'll see you in the next video.